Hello, friends. Welcome to Akulmach Live. My name is Chandrakant. Today, we will talk about the feeling of loneliness. This feeling of loneliness can happen at workplace and can also happen because of a certain loss in your family, or also because of pandemic. You might have lost certain people whom you have not been able to meet, or it could be a general purpose loneliness that people are affected. Before we start our discussion today, a word on the giveaway. Akulmach works with many SMEs and startups world over, helping them in not only building their sales and marketing teams, but also help them in improving their success rate. As you can see, we have summarized our years of knowledge into these easy to follow steps, which can be used by any smart leader to promote their group or a company. In order to encourage people to take the right step at the right time, we have used this proprietary graph in our corporate memorabilia so that the knowledge can be accessed by whoever, whenever, wherever it is needed. You can become eligible to get one of these beautiful gifts delivered to your doorstep for free. All you need to do is to subscribe our channel and smash that like button. Also, please watch this entire video and provide your valuable comments, suggestions, or you could also share your experiences. Person with the best comment and interaction would be chosen to become a free recipient of one of these displayed items here. In addition, we would invite you to Akulmach Live to participate in our show as a distinguished panelist. What are you waiting for, friends? Go for it. Now, let's get back to our discussion. Friends, let me introduce you to our guest today. He is a very senior member of our industry. His name is Neville Gaunt. He joins us from London and he is also chairman of MindFit Limited. Welcome to the show, Neville.
Good morning, CK. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for that introduction. And today we're going to be speaking about one very simple thing. 3 syllables.
What it
loneliness. Loneliness. It's loneliness. Not going to make you guess too much, because loneliness this word is coming up more and more as a consequence of the pandemic, the COVID pandemic. We've lost lots of friends, family, relations, close to us and around the world. And some people have lost lifelong partners. And all of a sudden, this word loneliness really comes up and bites us very hard. Now, I'm not talking about the arena of being depressed, okay? Because that's a deeper state of loneliness. Okay, that's when you're really on your own. I'm just talking about feeling lonely, because I felt lonely many times in my life, despite the fact I might have had lots of people around me at the time. What about you, CK? You ever felt lonely?
Well, I've felt lonely many times, Neville. To be very honest with you, after I became 10 years old, from that age onwards, I remember I felt lonely. When I have to show my marks to my parents, I don't know what to do, and I'm suddenly feeling lonely. I'm all alone, and I have to face my parents because I've scored less. From that time onwards, from these little things, I think time and again I felt lonely many times at work, in seminars, at home, and things like that.
Yeah, and it's a feeling, isn't it? And despite the fact, I mean, a lot of people wouldn't have said, showing marks to your parents, you're feeling lonely. They wouldn't recognize that as being lonely. But we've all been there, haven't we? We've all shied away from it. We've all said, oh, I don't really want to do this. It's not in my DNA. It's not in my makeup. It's that instantaneous feeling of being alone. Well, the fact of life is none of us are alone. We're all connected. Just by watching this video, you're connected to us, and we can always have a chat with you. You can come and have a chat on the program. But being lonely is one of those funny little feelings that even in a crowded room, you can feel lonely. You could have 200, 300, 1,000 people in a crowded room and still feel lonely. And I'm sure, CK, you've been to many networking events in your early years, of networking, like my early years of networking. You would walk into a room and there could be 200 or 300 people there. It's a big meeting. They're all going for a specific thing. There's lovely refreshments there, nice cup of coffee, cup of tea, decent cakes, which everyone gets rammed into. That always breaks the ice, doesn't it? And yet you walk in and you just have this instantaneous feeling of, I don't know anybody here. And then, what am I doing here? Look at these people. They're all older than me. They deserve to be here. I don't deserve to be here. And immediately those feelings of loneliness, in a very crowded room, start to encroach into you. You ever felt that way, CK?
Well, Neville, especially when these bunch of senior people who are like 20 years senior than you, especially when you see them flock around with each other, and you're alone and everybody's a stranger in the room, and you see these industry leaders are just talking within themselves, they are trying to network with themselves who they already know. So how do you, break that ice and, gather courage, shun your loneliness, and go and talk to them while they're talking to themselves?
It's not easy, is it? But the point is, you're there for a reason. Go and do it. So we're not talking about being depressed here, having to go see a doctor and getting medicine for your depression. We're talking just that general feeling of loneliness. And guess what I would do? When I see these crowded room of very senior people, you're absolutely right, well established, they all know each other, they're in their little cliques around the room, they've grabbed hold of a particular high stool and a coffee table, and they're there talking to each other, effectively not letting anyone into the conversation, because that's what these places are like, really. If you've never been, you better go. You need to experience it. But what do you think I did?
Well, straight away, you will have multiple options. One is that you can just grab a cup of coffee, have a short cake, enjoy the cookie, enjoy the scenery, enjoy the hotel, and sit on a chair with your coffee, enjoy yourself, and be lonely. Second option could be, you can be a little more adventurous. You can step out of the room and start looking for a good date to find. I mean, if you're free, and if you're not engaged with anyone, you can still start finding and start hitting on some girl whom you like. I'm just saying that girl. It could be a man also if there is a woman as a subject, uh, or either of the case. Uh, the third option could be to actually, you're there in that meeting room for a purpose. So get on with it. Go and shun your loneliness, or your timidness, or your high-headedness, whatever you want to call it. Go and talk to these gentlemen who are sitting on a high pedestal.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, there's plenty of options. The thing is, when you're feeling lonely, you don't think of those options. In fact, the only option you think of is get a cup of coffee, go and sit down, and hope nobody talks to you. But that's not going to help your loneliness. It's going to do the opposite. It's going to make you feel more of an outsider, more lonely. So let's look at the positives. Pick up your coffee and go and talk to somebody. Muscle in, but nicely. Don't go in and say, "Who are you?" In your face, be a space invader. Go in and say, "Do you mind if I join you? I haven't been here before. My name's Neville. I come from here. I do this. What do you do? What's your name?" Because typically in these big meetings, you'll have a little name tag on the lapel. You might even have a little, exhibitor's card around your neck, and you can actually see people's names. And of course, you can be intimidated by chief executive or chairman or CHRO. The point is, you're there for a reason, and you're there to make it count for you. So just go and have a conversation. It may not be a lifelong friendship you're building, but on the other hand, it might be a lifelong friendship you're building. They're going to learn from you. And the other thing is, you not only will you be learning from them, but they were in your situation the first time they were there. So if they're a leader, they will welcome you in. You know, they'll open up their little unit that looked very closed because it only looked closed to you. They may not have been feeling, well, this is a closed unit. We don't want anyone to talk to us. I mean, they weren't locking arms. I mean, what you saw was a huge chain around them and a big padlock and even guards around them, not letting you see what's going on. And I've been in those situations before as well, where you can't actually get to talk to certain people, despite the fact the room's very crowded. But you can do things for yourself. And that's the whole purpose of this show today. You need to go and take some action because it's actions that's going to get you away from this loneliness feeling. I mean, someone said to me, whenever I'm feeling lonely, I just make myself busy.
Well,
And it's as simple as that. Just make yourself busy.
absolutely, Neville. In fact, apart from this one particular example of being lonely in a crowded place, there are actual cases of people getting lonely. And I think you mentioned early in the show that some people might have lost their partners, friends, family, seniors, elders. So, the loneliness can come from any of these losses, especially now. And when you don't have an outlet, people are stuck up in their home. Loneliness can become a big problem, especially if they have lost someone in their family or friend circle.
Yeah, if you've lost someone very close to you, it is difficult. I mean, let's face it, if you've lost your best friend, could be your lifelong partner, you've got no one that you can, that's your default. That's the person you just turn to. And there's many instances, and we see it on the TV all the time, where people talk about loneliness, where they are talking to their departed partner, best friend, just as though they're still there, and yet they're not there. And there's nothing wrong with that, frankly, because that just means that you had a very loving relationship during your life. So that's something to celebrate. You know, death is, in many respects, for a lot of people around the world, a lot of religions, is a time to be celebrated. And I know that's difficult when you've lost somebody. But let's think of what that person would be saying to you if they were still there. They'd be saying, brush yourself up. Don't be lonely. Get up and do something. Go and cut the lawn. I know what my wife would say. Go for a walk, you know. Go and enjoy the sun. The thing is, it's about doing something, taking an action, being active. So even before, I mean, I rarely feel lonely these days. I have a feeling of being alone. In other words, I'm trying to fly the flag against the wind. The nice thing about that is always remember that planes take off into the wind, not with the wind. So that's a little thing to remember on this bright sunny day. But sometimes you're fighting against things, so you can feel alone. You can feel on your own. That's not the same feeling as feeling lonely, by the way. They're two very different feelings. Because if I'm feeling on my own, then all that does is it makes me fight harder. Because if it's worth fighting for, I will fight for it. Of course, there's a right time and a right place. And sometimes you have to remember, now's not the right time, nor the right place. So you just leave that battle and go and find a battle you can win. But there's lots of things you can do. And one of those things is literally go for a walk. Be very active. Go and enjoy the pouring down rain or that bright sunshine. You know, because both have a reason. We have a reason why we have sun, because it brings the flowers and makes the plants grow. And there's a reason why we have rain, because it helps the flowers and makes the plants grow. Okay, so there's two of the same reasons for two very different things. What do you do when you're feeling as though you need to get away from it, basically? What do you do?
Well, Neville, I think to answer this question, it's not easy. It's not a simple solution, because there is a subconscious mind, and if you have actually suffered a major loss in your life, then whatever you do, there is a subconscious. Even if you go for a walk, the subconscious mind will actually keep telling you, "Hey, you lost somebody." And even if you ignore that feeling, you will sleep and you will wake up with a bad dream about that person. So I think it's not easy. But to answer your question, what I would do, I'm saying it's not a solution, it's not easy. I would get back to work and divert my attention to work mostly. That is what I would do, but it's not easy, never.
No, you're absolutely right. And one thing that, in many respects, I'm not suggesting is we ignore it, because if we just keep ignoring things, it ends up being the elephant in the room. And I don't know about you, but if you keep sweeping things under the carpet, then the carpet gets so big, you have to move around the carpet. So you need to sweep out the stuff. We call it behavioral waste. So you need to deal with it. And yes, if you've had a major change in your life and a major bereavement, someone's literally been taken away from you who's incredibly close to you, as I say, maybe your life partner, then going for a walk, even getting immersed in work, that little voice is always going to be there. So what you need to do is to work out what other little voice, what would that person be saying to me now? Would that person want me to be miserable? To spend the rest of my life on this earth feeling down and lonely because they're not there anymore? And the answer, I hope, is going to be no, they wouldn't. Of course they wouldn't want you to be miserable and lonely and unhappy and go and take to the drink or binge on Netflix until you're bored silly and fall asleep and then have a nightmare. They wouldn't want that for you. They'd want you to be happy. So you can start competing with this nagging little voice. You're on your own. There's no one around you. You've made your bed, you got to lie in it. All these words that will come, they come to us all many times during our life. We just have to deal with it. As you say, you immerse yourself in work. I do the same thing. I go and do something that I really enjoy doing. And that might be on my own. It might be fishing. I haven't been fishing in years. I absolutely love fishing. Or it might be playing golf, and there's nothing worse for it than playing golf against your mates, and they're just saying, "Oh, look at you! You're in the ditch again. Oh, yeah, you always do that. You're out of bounds. Another stroke lost." And they're nagging away at you, just like this other one has said. You're on your own. You're on your own. You're in the ditch. You're in the sand. Oh, another stroke lost. You're going to be buying the beers on the 19th. And this is where resilience comes in, and you only build your own resilience by doing something about it. So today we're not giving you the complete solution, because we don't know who you are and what your situation is. But you need to be active, and you need to fight against your own inner voice that's saying you are lonely. You will always be lonely, because the next phrase comes in, you're not worth it. You're unworthy. Your self-esteem is no good. You're an imposter. And all of these words start to come at you fast and furious. And by the way, no one's telling you this. You're telling it to yourself. Well, the only way to do that is to break the cycle. And making a cup of tea could be breaking the cycle. Going on a bicycle ride and really feeling the sun on your face or the rain on your face is breaking the cycle. Whatever you've got to do, you need to be active. And that's the message for today. The person that was with you, that is no longer with you, what would they be saying to you? They'd be saying, go and enjoy life. We had a great time together. Please be happy, because your happiness is important to me, even though I'm not here.
Well, Neville, I think it's a great message that you have given. And personally, I feel maintaining a calendar of activities really help, because that will keep showing you, these are the slots which are still vacant and empty, and you can do something productive. So many people don't maintain a diary or a calendar. I think to get over the loneliness, if you see your daily schedule on your face, then it will be easier to fill that thing, and then you will be really busy and not think about your sorrow or your loneliness. So I think it's better to maintain a calendar or a diary, whatever people feel comfortable with. But I think in the end, you have given fantastic suggestion. Go back to work, maintain your fill up your schedule, don't brood over things, get out of the loneliness. I think these are very clear and key messages we find today in our discussion. Neville, thank you so much.
No, my pleasure. And if anyone is feeling lonely out there, contact us, because, we can always have a further discussion. And if other people are feeling lonely, then contact them. Because the worst thing in the world is, I'm not going to phone that person because they've just lost somebody and they don't really want lots of people talking to them. Actually, they do want lots of people talking to them. But of course, all you got to do is ask. A little text. Haven't called you. Would you like a chat? They can always say yes or no. Again, this is the time to be a good friend. We all need good friends. And that's another way of getting out of loneliness, having a good team around you. Nice speaking with you today, CK. And we'll talk about another subject tomorrow.
Absolutely, Neville. So goodbye for today, only to catch you tomorrow again.
Cheerio, everyone.